Checking. Good. Looks like that's good to go. Sweet. I think we're ready. Cool. So this is Workshop Wednesday. Welcome, everyone. This should be a short one. As I wanted to show off, I wanted to show off something I've been working on recently, namely those bookcases in the back there. I've been replacing these bookcases because, I don't know if you can see how badly, but they're bowed pretty significantly with all this manga. And these are cheap Walmart bookshelves, literally the least expensive bookcases I could find. And they've lasted a little while, but they've only been here about 3 years, and they're pretty bowed. And actually, one of them already broke about 6 months ago. One of the shelves just snapped. So it's been on my mind, and I've been working to fix them. And so I've got some replacement ones that I've actually been making myself, as I said. I wanted to show you how they work because they're kind of neat. Because you can do this with them. That's right, they're modular. And then little bits fall off because I didn't remove all the stuff. So these are modular bookshelves that I built. And they're very simple, very easy to build. Let me grab this chair so you get an idea. So basically, it is they are 12-inch wide boards, just kind of whatever you want to get. And I cut them into 30-inch pieces for the width, and then 12-inch pieces 1 foot wide for the height. If you live in other places where you don't use feet and inches, unfortunately, giving you the exact conversions aren't going to help you too much because your boards will literally be in different dimensions. So it won't necessarily make sense to use feet. You want to use, you won't want to use the exact number of inches here because of centimeters just be easier for you to use, and you're not going to have exactly 12-inch wide boards necessarily. So you'll want to basically measure the bookcases that you have around and use those measurements as bases. These are about 30 inches wide, I think like 29 and a half inches. So that's the idea there. So we have, as you can see, these 30-inch boards here and the 12-inch boards between them. And then in the back, I have a 1x2s, 1 inch by 2 inch boards screwed onto the back, 2 of those. And that just provides some stability. And something else. Because you may have noticed, I grabbed onto handles here. I've cut handles. Oh, it's a little. Nope, it's just a light. Cut little handles on either side because these also double as crates. Ain't that handy? So if you're moving, you can just reuse your bookshelves as crates. And if you end up getting rid of stuff, you can repurpose those shelves however you like and modularize these. These can stack on top of each other, and be used that way. So I really like this design. Again, 30 inches, 12 inches, and then obviously 30 inches for the bottom pieces for the supports. And so I literally just would cut those out to size, and I made a template, which I should have, yep. 2 templates actually. So I just took a piece of paper, made circles on either end. I believe I measured down these 2 spots. I found the center, and it worked out from the center of the paper. Actually, no, I didn't do that. What I did is I measured across here, so the height, essentially, of the piece, and then found the center point of that, and then measured down that far on the piece of paper, because this piece of paper isn't 12 inches, right? So you gotta be careful there of your measurements that you're measuring the right thing. So I measured 6 inches, and then measured 6 inches on the piece of paper. There's the mark, 6 inches, right there. And then went down from there, measured out, and just used a pencil to mark that out, and then cut it out with scissors. And then just literally, I would put that on here, and notice I have a little registration mark, a little arrow right there, to let me know that is what should measure up there. Just put it on there. Use pencil to mark that out, and then use jigsaw to cut that. Actually, not even a jigsaw, like a hand jigsaw. So very straightforward. This is the other thing. I have no shop. In fact, that is my shop. That is my entire workshop in terms of power tools and stuff. So the only things I used to put these together was a circular saw, power drill, and a power jigsaw. You know, one of these dealies. And I was able to assemble these. The other nice thing is, because of the weight of the bookshelves, you don't really need to screw these down if you have a stable surface you're putting them on. So, you know, this should hold together pretty well. Now, obviously, you want to test what you've got, make sure it's stable and steady. And obviously, if you're in an earthquake-prone area, you want to, you know, really nail those down, so to speak. But these are pretty stable sitting together, because you're going to have, this is obviously on its side, you're going to have multiples of these on each other. So you've got two boards here on each other, providing, and so you're spreading out some of that weight there, which helps somewhat in terms of stability. So that is the entire thing. I use 1 1/4 inch screws here, but you can use kind of whatever you want, obviously. That will actually go all the way through the wood. And that's it. These are just very simple boxes, and then stained them, obviously, once that was done. And they're working out very well as bookcases, and I'll be building more as time goes on. But so far they've been very, very heavy, and they've been very, very stable. They are, and when I say they are very, very heavy, the completed bookcases are pretty heavy. Individual ones, not too bad. They're significantly heavy, but you can handle that. The only other thing you'll probably want is a piece of paper as a guide for the boards on the back. So I wanted these two boards here to be evenly spaced in here. You might want to make them wider, but and that would be a little more stable if they're on their back. But my concern with that is that if I have books and such in here, I don't want a big gap in the middle. I'd rather have this, taking up, essentially even parts of that space. But you can play around however you want to. So basically, I measured across here again, divided that into thirds, and then measured out, halves of these pieces. And so, as you can see, right here, this is my registration. So I know that goes up in the corner. This is the middle of one board. This is the middle of the other board, and then that's either side of those two boards. So all I had to do was, lay this like that, and then mark down where those boards would be. Do that on both sides, and then I can just lay down those boards and screw them in. So again, these are very simple modular bookshelves. I'm very happy with them. You're not going to get any crazy end of this video where everything falls down on me. These are really solid and effective. And like I said, again, you could certainly screw these together to have a really solid bookcase. But for what I have and where I have it in my house, I think just stacking them as they are is going to be fine for me for now. But again, definitely check your stability. Shift it a little bit, see if it's wobbly at all, and if so, definitely be careful there. But pretty darn cool. And the other really nice thing about this is that being modular, if you just need a small bookcase, just build 3 of them and stack them up. Heck, you can build more, just have these around as crates. These would be really useful in a basement. And don't worry too much about the fact that this bottom here is a gap. You could absolutely cut out some plywood, just some thin plywood in this rectangular shape, slide it down in there as a base, and then store whatever you want in there. You don't even have to screw it down. It'll just lay down there. So you have your crate, you lay your piece of plywood down in there, and you have a solid base for whatever you need there. So very, very handy, very convenient. Glad I built them. And again, only a few tools required. Very straightforward to build. And once you build a couple of them, you just keep on building and building and building. One suggestion though, let me see if I can show you here. So here's some leftover from that. One thing you gotta be careful of with these boards, and folks will tell you about this, and I've been told about it many times, but really important on a project like this is to check to make sure that it is not bowed on that end, i.e. if this is the board going out like this, if it's a nice long board like that, you want to make sure it's not bowed like this in the center. And that bowing isn't obvious when you're just picking it up off of the rack, but you really want to sight down that and make sure that it's nice and level. And actually you can see this is slightly lowered on one side than the other, but you get the idea there, where you want to make sure that this is not bowed going out like this or going in like that, because that will definitely show up in your bookshelves. In fact, you can see here, there is, you might be able to see, there is some slight bowing in one of these boards. And the problem with that is that if you have a significantly bowed board and you lay it on top of another bookshelf, it's going to rock, right? It's like a rocking chair. And so you really want these as flat as possible. If you do end up with a piece that is, you know, a little bowed, not badly, but you're a little worried about that, definitely make sure that the it is bowed outwards like this. So if you're assembling it like this, make sure the bow is like this on this, you know, going this way, because A, when you screw it down, it will tend to flatten it out, but also that means that it will sit flush on other pieces instead of being bowed in the middle and then rocking back and forth. So that's just a little tip on that. So I know this is kind of bounced all over the place video-wise, but I hope you found this helpful. This has been a really convenient project for me and very useful. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Until next time, make something.